So what we're going to do in this video is integrate Lovable, one of the premier vibe coding platforms, a platform to be able to create apps without coding just by telling it what you want it to do, and Zapier, one of the largest AI and automation orchestration platforms. With Zapier, you can connect thousands of different apps to be able to do complex logic really, really easily. To get started, what we're going to do is just create a simple form. So in reality, I probably wouldn't make my own custom application for something like this, but what we're actually demonstrating is how to connect logic on the front end and back end with Lovable, with the orchestration power of Zapier. So we're just going to hit enter. And right now it's very simple. It's just going to create the form for us. It doesn't even know what to do with the form right now. It's probably going to save it in Cloud Functions, which is, or in the cloud, in Lovable Cloud, which is Lovable's now database, native database. So if we click on that and see, I don't even have cloud enabled for this project, but we can enable it, and it allows you to store the data in Lovable itself. So we go back, and Lovable's still working. While Lovable's still working, I'm going to go to Zapier, and the first thing I'm going to do is create a new Zap. And in that Zap, we need a trigger. We need something to start the workflow. And what we're going to do is find the webhook. I think it's called Webhooks by Zapier. It is a premium feature, so for me, on my free account, I don't think I'll be able to run this, like in production. Sometimes I use Make, and if we got time, I can show you in Make, where you can use it in production for free. But we're going to select Catch Hook, and what it's going to do, we have a trigger event, Catch Hook, we click Continue. What I'm going to do is copy this to be able to configure this correctly. We're going to jump back to Lovable. Lovable is still thinking. While Lovable's thinking, Chris, do you have any questions so far? And then you can do whatever you want. You want to send out an email from your email. You want to add contacts to Google Contacts. Zapier even has its own AI. Zapier, I think if we go to custom, maybe products, Zapier has agents where you can do like agentic processes in Zapier. And now you can run your own code in Zaps using Python. So really, really interesting things here. I have my form here, and I'm going to say, send the information to this. And just so we could save time, I'm going to say add an autocomplete feature, or add like sample data. This is the important thing, and maybe even while it's loading, I'll compare it to Make, which is the other tool I would use for this. Make is very, very similar. They now have, and I actually haven't been in Make in a while, so even though you can see me with lots and lots of scenarios for Make, I have no AI agent stuff, so you'll see more content on AI agents in Make coming up. But if we go and create a new scenario for Make, and a scenario is just like an automation. So we're going to build that from scratch. Same thing. We're going to go to webhooks. We're going to go to custom webhook, and it's the same thing. We just have to add some information. And the only reason we're doing this, we're just buying some time for this to load. Gives us a chance to compare. And you see, it gives us an address here. So if we wanted to send it to Make, we could send it to Make by just using this address instead of the Zapier address that we had. That should be fine. We're going to use the sample data. We it didn't complete all the sample data. So any drop down it didn't complete. Let's just say that. And now we're going to send. It says it's been sent. So we should be able to go here. I'm going to hit test. And we can see our field here. First name Connor, last name Davis. We can see everything in the format that we want it. Then maybe I want to store this in Google Sheets. So I am going to create a Google Sheet. Let's say ice hockey registration. And we're just going to call this sheet registrations. So we have our sheet ready. What we want to do is add any new data that comes in to the sheet. So what we're going to do is we are going to say add or create. I think it's create new row. Create spreadsheet row. And we're going to find that spreadsheet. It's called ice hockey registration. And the worksheet is called registrations. And you can see we have our fields. So what we want to do now is just map the fields. We have first name, we have last name, we have preferred jersey, somewhere, preferred jersey, we have parent name, and we had agreed terms. And actually, agreed terms might not even be, oh yeah, agreed terms, true, perfect. And so now we test this step. When it's finished testing, what we should see is that information gets pushed to our spreadsheet. And now let's test this end to end. What we're going to do is use more sample data. And I think it's filled in all the information. And we're going to hit submit registration. What we want to do is let's go to another test run, refresh. We can see that request has come through, Logan Martinez, and we're going to use that. I think it's hit continue. We'll close this. We're doing a test run with that data that came through. And it says sent one row to Google Sheets, and you can see it sent my information to Google Sheets. Now, the slight catch here is when we go to edit Zap and we can publish. Oh, it'll let me publish. Oh no. Yeah, I'm on a free plan, and to be able to use this webhooks by Zapier, I need a premium account.
Got it.
So here's the workaround. And this is what I'm good for. The workaround, this is why I use different platforms to know what you can use what for, or what platform is good for what use case. And so we're going to do the same thing. So we have our webhook, and I am going to say change the Zapier webhook to make. That does not look like the webhook, so let's see. Oh, it does actually. And now it should be sending these, or should be changing the Zapier webhook to make. But you saw what just happened. The form submitted from our front end is going to Zapier. Zapier's catching the data. Zapier's mapping the fields to the spreadsheet, and it's adding the data to the spreadsheet in the format we want. And we can continue by adding whatever module. If we wanted to update in Slack, if we wanted to add it to HubSpot, we could do that. The sky's the limit. So I think it might have done this. So let's see. Oh, wrong one. So I selected custom mail hook. What we want is custom web hook. And I'm going to change this to Lovable web hook. Okay. This is why I didn't think the URL was right, because I know it looks like this. And I'm just going to say, my bad, the webhook is this. And immediately it's listening because it needs to understand the data structure. So before it can even go any further, it wants to understand how your data is structured. So that first request is almost like a test to see how the data is structured. So it updated, and we're going to use sample data, and we are going to hit submit. It's successfully determined. Perfect. And let's just run this. So we're going to run this module. We are going to use the sample data again, hit submit, and we can see the bundle comes through. So again, we might have to parse this because this is coming through in a format that we don't actually want. And to show you what I mean, if I connect it to Google Sheets again and add a row, very, very similar thing to what we was doing before. Spreadsheet ID. Okay, should be fine now. And it's called ice hockey. Now, because of the way this data comes in, you see the values, first name, but this comes in as all one thing. So what we do actually want to do is parse this. So I want to make sure I get this right in the parsing of the data. So what we want to do is add a module. So we want to parse the JSON. And we're going to test this. So right now we're just going to test these two modules. So again, it's listening. I can go back. Okay, yeah, we're not worried about on the Google side right now. What we're looking at is the JSON and what it's coming out with. And you can see it's parsing it correctly. So it's parsed the JSON exactly how we want it. Now we can go to Google. Google's acting up a little bit.
Log back in again.
Yeah. I'm not sure which connection it was. Oh, maybe this one. And we're going to grab our registration sheets. And we have first name, so I can just grab my first name. We have last name, I can grab my last name. Preferred jersey, that is somewhere. Parent name. Agreed terms. And that is it. So I don't forget to hit save. I did actually forget to hit save. And now what we can do is, I don't actually want to run this with the existing data. So we're just going to run this with the existing data for now. We are going to hit submit registration. We can see that it's already gone through before I can even click the next one. And we can see it's added the information right here. Now to deploy this, I don't want to share. I want to publish. So they have made some changes to the platform, so it looks a little bit different to me.
There was a publish button just there.
Yeah, so we want this to happen immediately as the data arrives. So if I save this and I go ahead and hit, I want to name this. I'm going to just name this Lovable tutorial. And I'm going to save this again. And now it's going to happen immediately when something arrives. So I'm not going to hit run once. It's already running, or it should be already running. If we just go back, we can see that it's already active. And what we're going to do, we're going to see we have three entries here. We're going to go back to our front end, use sample data again. We've got Mason Thompson. Hit submit registration. It might not be immediate, but you can see a Mason Thompson has been added.
Oh, it's perfect.
So we have two ways. We have Zapier, which has its own pros and cons. Obviously, Webhooks by Zapier is a premium feature, but they have agents. They have lots of really, really cool features. And you have Make, which you can do as complicated thing. If we wanted to add, let's add a module. We could add OpenAI. We have OpenAI here. We can generate a completion. We can generate images. I'm not sure if they have Gemini. Oh, we'll go back. Let's see. They have Gemini. You can generate a response, so you can integrate it with Gemini. We can integrate it with Claude, maybe. So Anthropic Claude. Simple text prompt. So you can do lots of really interesting things. You can do the whole AI part of your application purely in Make. So if you wanted to get it back to the front end, let's just think about a good use case for our application. So what I'll do is here, we're going to add a webhook response, and you'll want to add a body for that webhook response. So you want to say something. So let's say we have our form, and what we're going to do is use AI to generate whether or not they're going to be selected for the team, or the likelihood they're going to be selected for the team. And what we're going to do that, and this is way beyond kind of what I wanted to initially go through, but it's always good. It's always good to show the different capabilities. I have just opened OpenAI, and I'm going to go to my dashboard, and we're going to create a chat prompt. And what we're going to do, and what I actually need is my API keys. So we have a webhook response. We have a webhook to catch the data from our front end, and the webhook response sends the information back, or sends whatever information back. But what we want to send back is the likelihood of their son or daughter being selected for the team. And what we're going to do that is add a module. And in this module, we are going to select OpenAI, and we are, let's see, I'm just trying to think of which one I want to use. I don't want a conversation, I just want a normal chat completion, I think. And I'm going to create a new connection, and I'm going to call this Lovable tutorial. I'm going to create my API key. So I'm in my dashboard, and I'm going to create an API key just to remind me to delete this key, because you don't want to show people your key. And then I'm going to come back and put this right here, hit save, and now it will be connected to OpenAI, and I can select a model. So we can actually use the latest model, and I have a message, and I'm going to create a system message, and the system message is going to be at like a youth sports evaluator based on the player's information, determine whether they can make an elite ice hockey AAU team. So we're not worrying too much about like the output right now, because that's not the point of what we're doing. But you would want to craft the output in such a way that it does actually look good and is formatted nice for your front end. And then we're going to have the user role, the user, and this is what the variable information is going to be. So when I say variable, this developer information is static. This is always going to be the same. But this user information is going to be, I don't need to send this. I can just send, I can send this right here. I don't need to send the parse JSON. I can just send the whole JSON. So we have that. So what we're going to do right now is this test A, let's see, A, B, C, D. And we're going to run once. Go to our front end. Mason Anderson. Correctly, 3 or 4 years. And you can see now the AI is about to process. It's processing very slowly, but it is processing. Obviously the webhook's an error because we don't have no body for it, but let's just take a look at the output. We're going to go to choices, one, message, content, and we can see it's provided us some output. Now I know nothing about ice hockey. I know nothing about that. And you can see how this output is designed for conversational. I would potentially adapt that, but now we get into prompt engineering, context engineering, which is beyond the scope of this video.
Sure. Yeah. Cool.
So what we'll do is now we would send the result back. There is one step after this. So now we've got run once. It's listening. We're going to use the sample data again. We're going to send the information. Now, we haven't told Lovable, hey, there's information coming back. So let's just see how it handles it. It's going to send the information back, but Lovable doesn't know what to do with that, right? And so, sorry. Let's see the body. I'm going to say, here's an example of the webhook response. Render the webhook response for the user. As you can see here, verdict, not ready for an elite AAU team at this time. But what it's doing is working on rendering the data. So we are sending that data back to Lovable. Yeah. I personally find it a little bit easier. So it's running into it's going to fix this. But I find it a little bit easier. Maybe just because I'm visually inclined to do it like this, where everything is in its own module and it's visual and it's different colors. I find it a little bit easier, but really you could have just done this in Lovable, and there's projects where I have just done this in Lovable and there's no issues whatsoever. Or like it's just like a normal project, right? Like you don't have to use a third-party orchestration platform. You would just code all of the logic. And I think it will send the information back. The only issue right now is we don't have no load-in spinner or nothing. And actually, it hasn't sent anything back so far. Let's see. What's the time right now? Okay, it says an error. It had issues parsing it. So let's try again. So I am going to hit run once, just because I like to see it happening. Dylan Wilson. And now it's having issues parsing. I'm going to say provide the sample data structure. Let's see. I'm not quite sure why it's having issues parsing it. Let's see. So this is how you use the chat feature. You just click right here, chat, and now you have a conversation with Lovable. And the conversation you're having with Lovable now is not making any edits to the code. So I asked it, what format are you sending the information to make? And it's saying from the network logs, your make scenario is returning a 500 error with the message scenario failed to complete. So it's saying the issue is on make side. It's receiving the data, but something in the scenario is failing. So I don't know why it stopped parsing data. The data structure determines how the parsed data will appear. If you don't create a data structure, and actually, this is super interesting, right? So what Lovable has done, now I take a look at this. Lovable has changed the format, make. So originally, remember, it was all like one JSON. Now it's actually parsed out. So we don't need this anymore. We can go into Google Sheets, and now we delete that. It breaks everything else. So what we're going to do is that, and we are going to go to agreed terms. Does it make sense what I'm doing right now? Or am I moving super fast? Sometimes, like, we was fine. We designed for the way it sent the data to make. And then we made an unrelated change, which changed something we didn't want it to change. Now, there are prompt engineering techniques, and I'm not even sure if Lovable has a feature, but I know some other tools have a feature that's like, limit the scopes of your changes to these files or these particular things. But it's no issue. We're gonna fix that anyway. So I am gonna send the bundle. I think that should be okay. And the result. So we are going to try this again. Run once. We're going to use the sample data. We just take a look. Mason Johnson's the last one we added. Okay. Now it's going through. It's already added to Google Sheets. So Ryan Taylor's been added to Google Sheets. Sorry about that. And OpenAI is finished. It sent the information back. Now we can see our player at evaluation. If we wanted to improve this, what we would tell it to do is render the markdown. So what it's doing is sending this as markdown, but we want this rendered. So this looks a very particular way. This looks nicer. We want it to look a lot nicer. This should be bold, I think, or this should be a certain way. These are meant to be bullet points. But you have your player evaluation and AAU elite team projection possible, tryout candidate, not a clear yes from the info provided. So this is how you integrate Zapier with Lovable. This is how you integrate Make with Lovable. They both have their pros and cons.